Hello and welcome to Barber Motorsports Park for Superbikes at Barber. It is the first round of the championship for many of the classes that we have here this weekend. 5 different classes are on the property here. It is time for qualifying session number 2 for the Motovation Supersport category. If you're just now joining our coverage on YouTube, this is some bonus coverage you can watch with us all weekend on MotoAmerica Live Plus. This field of Supersport riders now looking to get out of pit lane and up to speed. But before that happens, Roger Hayden, let's take a look back at 1 year ago, Supersport Race 1.
Yeah, and you're going to see Max Girardo there starting on pole position with a new track record. Really good start for him, but Tyler Scott was able to lead him down into turn 1. See PJ Jacobson there on the yellow Ducati. Great start for him. Max Girardo early on looks like he was trying to make a little bit of a break. You see PJ making a move on Tyler Scott. You can see the top 2 guys have kind of battled away, and Matthew Skoltz there on the number 11 Yamaha starting to work his way past Tyler Scott there after a mistake down into turn 1. Matthew Skoltz makes the move on Blake Davis, his now teammate, down into turn 5. And then Max Girardo just started kind of running out of grip a little bit. You see Matt able to chase him down, make that move. He sees PJ trying to make a break, and the race laps were starting to wind down. Last lap, right there, Matt's able to make the pass. PJ tries to fight back on the inside, but is able not to make it happen. And Matt goes on to win race 1.
And that was his first win as he went on that run to the championship to turn that number 11 into the number 1 that we have on the bike today. It was a great season for him. You take a look at Matthew Skoltz's rider profile on the way to that championship. 8 wins and 15 podiums, Roger.
Yeah, just super impressive. And he started out yesterday so far showing everybody why he has that number 1 plate.
Mentioned this is the beginning of the second qualifying session. These are the results from the first run of qualifying yesterday afternoon. And again, everyone is chasing Matthew Skoltz.
Yeah, you see Blake Davis there, PJ Jacobson, Tyler Scott, Josh Hayes, Cam Peterson, Corey Alexander, Jake Lewis, Kayla Yakov, 9th, and Max Van. Really good day for Max yesterday inside the top 10.
We've already had a couple of the categories out this morning, Roger. Very different conditions in terms of weather for what we had in the first session of qualifying yesterday. The track doesn't quite seem to have the same speed that we saw in the afternoon.
Yeah, the track temp is just down, but right before this session, the sun kind of came out a little bit, kind of popping through the clouds, so I think the track temp will be able to come back up. The temperature's a lot lower, and it's going to change the grip, and it's going to change the characteristics and the handling of the bikes.
Take a look at this. Was just a moment ago. See the 1, that's Matthew Skoltz. He's looking down.
Yeah, not really sure, but something definitely doesn't feel right. See Cam Peterson's able to go by. Not sure if Matt was having a problem or if he was just trying to bite him a little bit of space.
And you see him looking over his shoulder and looking to see who's around him, whose way he could possibly be in. But it looks like he is a lot more comfortable right now as these riders get up. Let's go ahead and get back down to Michael Hill, who's now down on pit lane. Michael?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. I've made it down here into the pit lane, just stood outside the Warhorse HSBK Ducati team, and this, of course, is final qualifying for the first time in Supersport for quite a few years for Cameron Peterson. He is one of the riders that has changed teams, not only changed teams, but also changed categories. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how he does. Other than that, they've got another few names in there. We're going to give a shout out to the 311 of Luca Allen. He's the first British rider to ride full-time in the series for CW Motorsport. I spoke to him and the team earlier on today. The only Kawasaki on the grid, no testing at all, slowly finding his feet. So again, truly international flavour here in Supersport, but all eyes for me in this one are going to be on Cam Peterson. Can he get it on the front row of the grid? We're going to find out.
And for Cam, moving to the Ducati and back to Supersport, he's had a pretty good day yesterday. You could see early on in this second qualifier, he was trying to get behind Matt to kind of see where he's struggling a little bit, but Cam Peterson looks like he really likes the bike. When you talk to him, he loves the team. I think he's expecting a very good year, and he's going to be one of those guys that's with that Superbike experience. He won a Superbike race here last year, so he knows he really gels well with this track. And I think he's just going to keep progressing as the year goes on, and he learns the bike and he learns the team. He figures the Supersport bike out. It's going to be a little bit different. The Superbike's going to have a lot more power, so it's going to take a little bit of a different riding style. The Supersport bike will carry a little bit more corner speed, so he's going to change that and figure it out.
It's great to have Cam Peterson out there. And Roger, we talked a lot last year about how the competition level in Supersport just continues to rise and rise, and then we have, this year, PJ Jacobson actually said it yesterday. He said, gosh, these new guys coming out, I guess, are just going to be fast.
And you just look all the way down to the list of how many guys that can win any given weekend, and there's 8-9 guys that could win. We see a rider down there in turn 5, not really sure who that was, but you just go down the list: Cam Peterson, Corey Alexander, PJ Jacobson, Matthew Skoltz. It looks like Jarrett Nassani crashed. Bike up, rider okay. But just going down the list of anybody that could win each given weekend. A guy like Gus Rodeo moving up.
That's Jarrett Nassani that you just mentioned, Roger. New bike for Jarrett and for Altus Motorsport this year, bringing out one of the new Yamahas for the year. In terms of fixing on the bike and getting that bike back to the crew and then being able to affect some changes or whatever needs to be fixed on it, how different are the two?
Well, it's definitely different, and for Jarrett now, he's going to miss this whole qualifying and knowing if the bike setup is different from yesterday, and moving to a new R9, it's going to feel different, and it's going to take time to figure out where the confidence is. I think we're going to have a replay of exactly what happened here.
Matthew Skoltz there on that one. He had an issue. It's the same part of the racetrack.
Really, it almost looked like Matt almost got into the back of him and really had to brake. But you see Jarrett there kind of crashing down into turn 5, up and okay, but going to miss a lot of track time, as you mentioned, moving over the Yamaha. They need all the laps that he can get.
See the number 4. That is Josh Hayes, who's back for the full championship season. Had his 50th birthday yesterday, and just the career that he's been able to put together, not just overall in AMA racing, but in Supersport itself. It's the first time that we've had him out in a season, but he's 6 total victories in Supersport. And I think this year he probably has a chance to get a couple more.
Yeah, you're right. He's going to be a guy. He was tough yesterday. Just go and look at the results in the first practice and the first qualifier yesterday. Has that experience. It's just so impressive to see Josh still have the drive that he had 20 years ago and able to still do the lap times. With a lot of these young riders are less than half his age, and he's out there still showing them how to get it done. As we see Tyler Scott 27.1 yesterday. Matthew Skoltz's best lap time was a 25.8, so that's what everybody's going to be shooting for.
Yeah, just a quick one on Josh Hayes. Obviously celebrated his birthday this weekend, as you guys were talking about yesterday and earlier as well, just talking about Josh Hayes. I saw him this morning briefly in the paddock, and I said, man, we can't get rid of you. And he said, I just feel so blessed right now. He's absolutely loving being back in the paddock. And obviously at 50 years old, still super quick. I wonder, Roger, is he thinking that he can actually challenge for the championship? I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to speak to him, but he's not here to make up the numbers. We know Josh Hayes. He's not here to wobble around in 10th and 11th place. He still believes he can win, surely. Yeah, and that's going to be his goal, to win races and win the title. I think he's definitely not here to try to, just ride around and fill out the grid. Josh has he's never been one of those guys. He's one of the most competitive people you'll meet. So he's going to be here this year. He's going to want to win races, and he's going to want to try to put himself, as the year winds down, in the fight for the title.
See Tyler Scott on the number 70 from Vision Wheel and 4X Star Suzuki. He's on an improving lap for himself. You see with red in the third sector. He's one of the riders that we talk a lot about. Just he's right there on the edge. He's right there on the edge of being able to go for the wins.
Yeah, and for Tyler yesterday, a little bit of a rough year. I think he learned a lot. I think it was a big learning year for Tyler, and he's so young. Sometimes we forget he a lot of the young riders go to Twins Cup and then Supersport, and he went straight to the Supersport class against some really tough competition. And you know, I think some of the guys moving from Superbike last year was able to, Tyler learned a lot, and we've seen at Daytona at the 200, he had a lot of speed there.
It's PJ Jacobson, number 15. He was third yesterday at a 126.4 in that first session of qualifying. This morning, his best so far is a 127.3. But again, we do know racetrack hasn't produced the same results that we saw yesterday afternoon. Not quite there yet. Some riders have been able to improve individually, but overall, we haven't seen those provisional pole times.
Yeah, and early on in this session too, I think you'll see a lot of guys kind of out on used tires. We see Matt there under his previous best right now. Like I said, he's going for a 25.8. He's on a good lap right now. And Matt also yesterday thinks there was time left with that, even though he did a 25.8. I think he had trouble finding a clean lap, so he knows he's got some speed left in his bike.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon we were getting, there's Skoltz, and that was Tyler Scott on the 70. You could see the frustration. Corey Alexander on the 23, also there in the mix.
Matt is definitely not happy there. You know, Tyler was just, looks like even Corey, they were on a good lap, and not sure. I think maybe Tyler was out on maybe an out lap or maybe an in lap, and kind of held him up a little bit, and they weren't real happy about it.
All right, we've got a replay of what happened. You get a better look here. You see Matthew Skoltz on the blue bike with the one plate. That's Tyler Scott.
I think he was just trying to make the pass there, and Tyler wasn't up to speed.
There's one more look at it, Roger.
Yeah, you see, Matt just, you know, really frustrated about it. He was on a good lap. We was watching his lap times, and I think for Matt yesterday having trouble getting clean laps, and then so far this morning having a little bit of trouble getting some clean laps as well. You can tell he's just, and they're still gonna, Matt's still gonna let him know.
All right, as they come into pit lane, let's see. Oh yeah, conversation continues.
And I get a feeling it's going to continue throughout the year as well. And that just happens, you know, on both of them. For Tyler, sometimes you're trying to get a clean lap, and sometimes you get in somebody's way, and then also sometimes you get held up, and that's the way it goes. Every rider's been on both sides of that fence.
As a rider, Roger, when you're out there, you're pushing your limit. You're trying to find that limit, so the adrenaline is high. When you get off of the bike, how difficult is it to calm yourself down?
It takes a minute, but that's about having really good people around you to kind of try to, you know, help you bring it down. But it's just frustration. It's a lot of stress, and so. But Matt's got some experience, and he'll bounce back.
Tyler Scott continued down around the racetrack. Let's go ahead and get back down to pit lane with Michael.
Yeah, Matthew Skoltz was down in the pits as PJ Jacobson just comes in next to me, and I don't know whether that frustration has now turned, sorry, it's Kayla that's come in alongside me, my apologies. I don't know whether that has just turned into more motivation. We tried to see whether we could get a word. He said, no time for that, I'm going back out. They changed the rear tyre, and he's back out there. So this has really just lit the fire under Matthew Skoltz, if a fire needed to be lit. Let's just stay down here very quickly with Kayla. We've not seen her much this week, and I want to see if we can get a quick word with Kayla Yakov. She's a very, very accomplished rider. Of course, we've seen her progress over the years. She's got it herself on the podium in the past. Let's just see if I can get down and get a quick word with Kayla if she's got time to speak to us. She's just talking to the Öhlins technician, so just let's see if we can just see what's being said here. Kayla, can we get a quick word? Possibly, can we get a quick word? Very quick. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. How's the session going for you? It's great to see you back out here in Supersport.
It's going all right. We're making a lot of changes. I wasn't super comfortable yesterday, but the bike's feeling a little bit better this morning. Hopefully this new tire, put down some good laps and get a little bit further to the front.
It's a little bit cooler today. How are the track conditions?
It's all right. It's a little greasy, but I mean, everyone has the same track, so we got guys going faster, so I know I could be out there too.
Excellent. Jamie, I'm going to hand it back to you because we're getting close to the final 10 minutes or so. It's going to be electric, this. I can't wait.
Yeah, just over 15 minutes remaining in this final qualifying opportunity for the Motovation Supersport riders. And looking down at timing and scoring right now, looks like, Roger, the riders are either already taking the opportunity to come to pit lane or they're all starting to make their way in.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to see as it winds down. Matt, we do know he's out with the new rear tire. You know he's going to be a little bit frustrated, so I expect a good lap. Ken Peterson has himself in a really good spot right here, right behind Matt. You know, I mentioned how Matt yesterday was having trouble getting a clean lap, so it really frustrates you, and then you go out today, and it happens again, and that frustration just keeps building. And for Matt, sometimes he let his emotions show there, and I think, it's part of it.
See the time to beat from Matthew Skoltz, that 125.865. That came from the first qualifying session yesterday. Here's PJ Jacobson, who just on the last lap did his personal best of this session, which was a 126.7. That's not an improvement over what he did yesterday, Roger, but we're getting a lot closer. He's now within 3/10.
Yeah, we're getting closer, and a lot of guys was in the pits. Even right now, when you look down the timing screen, you see a lot of guys in the pits. They're all going out with the fresh rear tire and going to try to get out there and do that better lap. Everybody knows who they're chasing. They seen the lap times yesterday. They know where they need to be.
See on the left-hand side of your screen, that's Luca Allen, one of the riders that's come across the pond, as they say, Roger, to compete here in Supersport. Let's get down to Michael.
Yeah, great to see Luca Allen here. He's the first full-time British rider to race in the series. No testing. The team were meant to, or were thinking about running a different manufacturer. He's only done a few laps, never been here before, never ridden on Dunlop tyres. But this kid is the real deal. He was top 3 in the GP2 Championship a couple of years ago, running inside the British Supersport Championship. So keep your eyes on this young rider as he gets to grips with this team. And again, it's now the only Kawasaki on the grid, Roger. So great to see the 636 out there, and great to see a British full-time rider. I'm a little bit biased, but great to see Luca out here.
Yeah, and it's great, and there's so much to learn coming over, not only the bike, but the team. So he's slowly improving, and that's all you can ask for. We see Blake Davis. Looks like he's going to try to knock off his teammate there for the top spot here in this second qualifier.
126.4 for Blake Davis, moves him up to the tops for this qualifying session. But if you're watching with us on YouTube and you're not familiar with the rules of MotoAmerica, qualifying sessions, the two of them, those results will be combined, and that is the way we will set the field as we get ready for both rounds of racing here this weekend. So Blake Davis certainly has been, his name has been up in the mix through both of the qualifying sessions, and he's coming back out this morning improving. Yesterday wasn't an accident, Roger. He's meant to be at the front.
Yeah, and his teammate right now on a really good lap. Yesterday, Matt was really close to the outright track record. It was a 25.7, so you know it's going to be his target, but right now it looks like he's going to low 26 or maybe even into the 25s, and that is a track record.
25.714 for Matthew Skoltz, bettering the 7.42 that Maximiliano Girardo set in qualifying last season. So we said it all morning, the racetrack didn't have quite the same pace, but that has now been proven wrong.
Yeah, and he got a clean lap there, and even when you look at his splits, one of his splits he didn't even improve, so he could actually go a little bit quicker. But what a great lap by Matt. He's able to go quicker, and I'm sure all these riders are going to see that he was able to go quicker than he went yesterday, so the track is there.
A little group developed out on the racetrack. That is Tyler Scott with his teammate Max Van right behind him on the number 48. We've got the number 71, Torrin Collins. 3 Suzukis out there together. When you're we've got the mix of competition here in Supersport. We've got the Suzukis, the Yamaha, of course the Ducati as well, Roger. When you're able to go out, even if it is a qualifying session, you're able to go out there with the same manufacturer. Does it help your riding?
I think it helps. You can see if somebody's doing something different than you're doing as far as riding style. But the big thing for is just to be able to, for Max and also Torton to get out there with somebody who's quicker than they are and be able to follow them.
It's Kayla Yakov, the number 19. Very briefly speaking with her down on pit lane, Michael Hill was able to learn that she wasn't comfortable yesterday, and we wondered about that. She's been one of the hot topics coming into this season. Was what can she do now in year number 2, and as still a very young rider, still looking to get that experience. Roger, when you're not comfortable, how impactful is that to your performance?
It's big because racing's all about confidence, and whenever you're just not comfortable, you're not going to be pushing it to the limit in every corner. So that's going to add up over a lap. See Kayla now. She felt good though when she had the I really like whenever we talk to her when she's in the pits that the track is the same for everyone, and I think that is the right attitude, even when you're not going quicker than you want when you're headed back out. And right now, Kayla's on a good lap, personal best first sector. You see that second sector is red. That's the best of the whole session. She mentioned she thought she could go quicker when she got that new tire on the back, and so far she's backing that up.
Yeah, her last lap she was able to move herself up into the top 10, so this lap with its improvements, we'll see what she's able to do. Tyler Scott is also on an improving lap for himself. There's a look at Tyler Scott again, the number 70. So we see what he improves to. Tyler Scott is a 126.723. He moves himself up into contention to go for that front row. Kayla Yakov, as she comes across the stripe, a 126.729. So she moves herself up not from the top 10, Roger, but into the top 5, and she's right there in 4th.
Yeah, that's a great lap, almost a second quicker than she went yesterday, putting herself right there on the second row. I think she's got to be pretty good, feeling pretty good about that. But Max Van also, we've seen him behind Tyler Scott. He's moved himself into 8th in this session.
And Blake Davis here on the number 22, the second bike out of Strack Racing for this season. An incredible opportunity for this young rider, and he was the first to improve his time from yesterday. So now that he is sitting second behind Matthew Skoltz, his teammate, let's see what he can do. A 126.1, so he improves. That is his best time of this session, and it's now 0.2 better than what he was able to do yesterday.
Like Tyler Scott on another personal best lap. This little right-hander right here is really hard not to rush when you're trying to do a really good qualifying lap, because it's a pretty slow corner, and you got to be so patient to get this run out of the last corner and see how much he improves.
All right, a 126.4 for Tyler Scott. He stays there in that 3rd position, but continuing to chip away at the gap that is now between Matthew Skoltz and the rest of this field. He's the end of the first qualifying session. Matthew Skoltz had over half a second to anyone else. Right now, that gap is closing. You say rushing a corner, Roger. What does that mean?
Where you just get in there too deep. You're trying to go faster, and then when you rush it, you blow the apex, and it just kills your drive. And when you do it at a track like this, then the next corner you're going to lose speed too. As you see Matt back out. So it's just patience, finding those brake markers, and being so consistent. It's just, if you're just a little bit off here in road racing, that's why it's so hard. It just really kills your corner exit in the middle of the corner, your speed. See Jake Lewis there setting 13th in the Altus Yamaha this year. Another guy, we talked about his teammate Jarrett Nassani having to switch to a different brand. Last year on the Suzuki, this year on the Yamaha. So that's going to take a little bit to get used to of riding. Not only that, the R9 is new, but I think it's got to be encouraging for those guys when they see what Matt and Blake's doing on the R9. They know what that bike can do.
If you're watching with us on YouTube and you haven't been following along, there's a great tool. If you go to MotoAmerica.com, there's a live timing chip that's at the top of the screen, and there's an interactive timing. It's what I'm looking at right now. And Roger, you can take the rider that you want to follow. Right now I've got Matthew Skoltz up on my screen, and then you can pair him against another rider, and you can actually look at where the two are better than one another. Right now, there is nobody out there on the racetrack that is even close to the lap times that Matthew Skoltz has been able to put together. But when you put him up against his teammate, Blake Davis, Blake is just as good as Matthew when they get to the second sector of the racetrack, but Matthew's just in a different league.
Yeah, and he just has to find a little bit in every sector to his teammate, and that's hard. You know, you're pushing. I think the big thing for Blake, though, having such a good teammate where he can, you know, look at his data and all that and learn what Matt's doing. Why is Matt quicker than me in these certain sections? What's he doing? Is he getting on the throttle sooner, or is he carrying more corner speed? So Blake's going to be able to look at that and try to close that gap. But right now, Matt, almost a half a second quicker, just been on it this week. He's really gelled with that R9 right out of the gate.
All right, you see at the back of the screen, Cameron Peterson on the number 45. We were riding along with him a little bit earlier.
And these two are probably the latest two that went out with the new tire. They've been on the pit, so now we're going to get to see their qualifying laps. PJ right there, you know, he was a little disappointed yesterday with where he was at, so he's going to be pushing right here. He's pretty close to the lap time. Look, he's close, and even Cam right there behind him. Both these two are on a really good lap.
And both for PJ Jacobsen all the way to the top, a 125.670, another new track record here in the second qualifying session. This time it goes to PJ Jacobsen, but Matthew Skoltz right there with them, able to follow along and improve his time to a 125.7, putting himself in contention for that front row.
Yeah, what a great improvement there for PJ and also Cam. And you know, Matt, we'll see if Matt can get back out. You know, he had such a gap, he probably didn't think anybody was going to be able to close that down.
So go back to the number 4, Josh Hayes, currently scored down in the 8th position. You look at his timing chip there at the bottom of the screen. He went personal best through the first sector. Hasn't improved over the course of the rest of the lap. We've really just got to put them all together. That's what we've seen from the guys running up front.
Yeah, and we have his teammate there right behind him. And that's as this winds down with the traffic, trying to connect all these sectors and get that really good lap, and see what Josh can do if he can improve from this 8th place.
As he comes to the stripe for Josh Hayes, it is an improving lap, a 127.1. Teague Hobbs, a better lap, a 126.9.
Yeah, Teague is right there behind Josh, so he's been able, we talk about getting behind somebody and following them and use them as a carrot. You see what Teague has done. He was able to use his teammate there and go a little bit quicker.
It's a great opportunity for Teague over the course of the season to have Josh Hayes and the wealth of knowledge that Josh brings to it. And just a little shake of the head from Josh. What was that about, you think?
Well, I think for Josh, he's probably just a little disappointed where he's at. You know, he's such a competitive guy. But you did mention about this is a great opportunity. You mentioned about Blake, good opportunity being teammates with Matt. Same here for Teague, to be able to be teammates with Josh and not only learn the on-track, but learn how Josh talks to his crew, how he goes about, you know, those mental preparations between each session and going into the races. There's a lot that takes a while to learn.
Blake Davis leading this group, Corey Alexander right behind him on the racetrack. Under 2 minutes now remaining in this final qualifying opportunity. It's number 85, Jake Lewis, right behind Corey Alexander.
And Jake just did his personal best first sector, so, you know, right behind these two guys, he's been able to find a little bit of speed.
And this is where you see the 3 different manufacturers Actually, Jake Lewis, I've got to get my
I'm
brain
with
right,
you.
right? They're no longer on Suzuki's, making that move over to the Yamaha, but you've got the Ducati rider, Corey Alexander, sandwiched right in between them.
And also, when you're behind another manufacturer like Jake is with Blake, you can see where his bike's better. Every team, even though they get the same bike, they go about it the same different way with suspension and setup and different things. And get behind another, the exact brand, you can see where your team needs to improve.
This group will get one more lap. The checkered flag has not been shown quite yet. 45 seconds remaining.
And Jake moved up to 8th, so he's going to get one more lap as well.
Kayla Yakov has gone personal best on the lap that she's on right now. She's down in 6th.
Corey looked like he was able to close up on Blake there in that first sector. It looks like Blake's might be slowing down or pulling in. Now he wants to get behind Corey.
Well, we've been watching all of this. The last lap that Matthew Skoltz, you asked the question, will he be able to go out and improve? Matthew Skoltz went out and moved himself up to the top of the time charts with a 1:25.598. Another improvement on the track record. Over almost 2/10 of a second has been taken off of the track record here today.
And I think Matt, just feels like there's even more time. That's an incredible lap for Matt there at 25.5 there to be able to get that qualifying pole position back out. And that track record, we thought maybe PJ might have snuck it in there toward the end, but Matt was able to get out there and respond.
Looking out of our window, I can see the checkered flag is now being shown to all of these riders as they look to wrap up what will be their final laps. There is the number 1, Matthew Skoltz. Can he go even lower? 1:25.464 here to wrap up this final qualifying session. He was frustrated early on, but he turned that frustration into performance, and he's been able to claim the first pole of the season.
See what Tyler Scott can hear on his last lap. If he's able to do any better, we'll take him here across the start-finish line. Better lap, but did not move up the grid. Talked about, the track temperatures, or with the track was a little bit off so far this morning. I think this session proves the track is probably the best that it's been all weekend.
The sun came out, started to put some heat into it right at the right time for those Motovation Supersport riders. It's a great way to kick off this championship season. You see the riders stopped out there at the exit of turn 9 looking to get some practice starts underway. There's Matthew Skoltz taking advantage of the opportunity to work on his start. New bike for the season. Once again, for the 2025 season, Tom Duma Fine Jewelers of Ohio will produce custom championship rings and pendants for the MotoAmerica champions in Superbike, Mission King of the Baggers, Motovation Supersport, and Mission Mini Cup by Motul classes. Tom will work with each of the champions to choose from several designs with retail values between $12,000 and $15,000. Looking forward to seeing the rings that were produced from last year's champions coming out this season, Roger.
Yeah, and we got to see him present those rings at Daytona. And man, what a great job Tom does, and what an awesome treasure for all these riders to be able to have that championship ring like we see in other sports.
Take a look at the results. Combined qualifying this session, the one from yesterday. The thing that did not change, Matthew Skoltz right there at the top.
Yeah, other guys closed that gap a little bit though. PJ was able to really go better today. Cam Peterson, Blake Davis, Tyler Scott, Kayla Yakov got herself onto the second row. Corey Alexander, Josh Hayes, Jake Lewis rounding out the third row, and then Teague Hobbs.
It's a great lap from Teague Hobbs here this morning. Go back further down. David Anthony's back for the full season. Up there in 11th, you've got Max Van, Gus Rodeo, Torrin Collins, Alexander Enriquez, Owen Williams, Aiden Sneed, Jarrett Nassani. We saw him go down, did not have nearly as much time as the rest of this field, but qualified there in 18th, and then CJ LaRoche. All right, we've got racing to come for Motovation Supersport. That will be the next time we see these riders out on the racetrack. Be 2 o'clock local time here at Barber Motorsports Park. Here are the odds to win. Roger, what do you think?
I think you'd have to go with Matt. Hey, the pace he showed all weekend, you'd have to think that he's by far the favorite. So if I had to put my money on one, I think I'd put it on Matt.
A couple of good long shots out there though. Blake Davis, as well as Cameron Peterson.
Yeah, right there with Blake, he showed good pace all weekend as well. So that'd be another guy you're looking for. A long shot, Blake would be the guy.
These odds will be updated after the racing this afternoon, but first we need to get to race one. Before that, let's get down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, well, first job done for Matthew Scholz. A new circuit record to take pole position with a new R9 champion on pole, Matt. Not a bad effort, that.
Yeah, I mean, really pumped with bringing the thing home in pole. Obviously, yesterday we had quite a big gap to second place. Seems like everyone's picked up the pace. But, you know, the biggest thing for me wasn't doing the 25.4. It was mainly doing a 25.7 on, you know, older tires. I think that's a really good race pace. And, yeah, I mean, going into the race just hoping to do 25s, you know, for as long as I can. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that's going to, you know, put us up at the front. But, you know, practice and qualifying, always one thing. Racing is a totally different thing. But I'm looking forward to all the challenges coming.
We're certainly looking forward to it as well. I've got to ask you before we let you go to Parc Fermé, there was a bit of a to-do on track with you and Tyler and a few other guys getting involved. What was the issue? What were you getting frustrated about?
I don't know. It's qualifying and guys are just sitting up into the race line. You know, I get that, you know, you may be going slow, you're not pushing every single lap, but to be sitting up on the race line, not cool, man. Not cool. I think that he's been racing for a long time. He knows better. And, yeah, hopefully the championship can kind of sort those things out because it's getting bad out there.
Okay, we'll let you go to Parc Fermé. Great job. Jamie, the new R9 and the defending champion are on pole position. Can't wait for lights out at 2.
Yeah, a big smile on the face of Matthew Scholz. That frustration that he's talking about, Roger, I think he explained it perfectly.
Yeah, he did, and he turned that frustration into a new outright track record. And I think, as he said, the most important thing, 25s in race pace, that's going to be incredible.
Looking forward to that racing again. That will be at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But third place on the grid, Cameron Peterson here on the number 45.
Yeah, and great day for Cam. I think getting a lot closer toward the front, more laps on that Ducati. He's looking more comfortable on it each session.
Looking forward to seeing what he's able to do in race trim. As you see, PJ Jacobsen here on the number 15. Full effort going into this championship season, sitting out for the Daytona 200, coming into the first race weekend of the year. Think he's happy with his qualifying position?
I think he's happy that he's going a little bit quicker, but I think he knows that pace that he sees the number 1 plate here. Matthew Scholz has those laps he's been able to do into the 25s. Has to be a little bit scary, but Matt, new outright track record. Feeling good going into race 1 today.
He's got the pace. He knows he can do it consistently. Can't wait to see the racing this afternoon. We'll be back.